Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. Hasbro just announced a whole new wave of Marvel Legends Infinity Saga figures. And you know what? It sure is nostalgic seeing this lineup because it takes you back to a time when Marvel movies were consistently good. Okay, they were indestructible and they didn't lose money at the box office. Now, it's also nostalgic for me personally because I did work on the film distribution in Malaysia for most of the movies that these figures were based on. And in fact, from the time that distribution moved over to Disney from Paramount. Now, we've seen versions of some of these figures before, of course, but this newest range has got some brand new updates. Now, Captain America is without a doubt my all time favorite Avenger, and I would say that all of the individual Captain America movies rocked. Now, The Winter Soldier from 2014 is one of my all time favorite Marvel movies. It's one of the all time best Marvel movies. I remember watching it something like 5 months ahead of its release at this Disney sales and distribution screening in Hong Kong. At the time, about 90% of the film had just been completed, minus some of the special effects, and it just stunned me how tightly put together the movie was, especially when it came to the hand to hand combat scenes. At the time, it was the first Russo brothers directed Marvel movie. They won over the fans, they won over the studio hits. Eventually, this would lead them to directing Avengers 3. Now, the new figure here is pretty light of accessories. For instance, he doesn't come with something like 2 dozen sets of hands. However, he does get the Winter Soldier movie shield and an unmasked head. The head sculpt here is good, but that's also to be expected because we have been getting some really good face sculpts of Chris Evans from Marvel Legends for well over half a decade now. Next up, and also from the Winter Soldier, we've got the Black Widow. Now, compared to the Captain America figure, the Black Widow here comes with a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, just check out the accessories layout. She's got 2 alternate heads with alternate hairstyles, and also a pair of guns, a pair of blast effects, and a pair of alternate hands. Okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. This is pretty much a definitive Marvel Legends Black Widow movie action figure. I have to say that, when it comes to the Winter Soldier, it's probably the one movie where I think that the Black Widow character was portrayed the best. Okay, Scarlett Johansson was at her A game in this one. Now, this was a much better Black Widow movie compared to the actual standalone Black Widow movie that would turn up a couple of years later in 2021. That one was just some bullshit. Okay, that movie should never have been released. And I feel that, honestly, that movie was actually at the start of when the Marvel Cinematic Universe just went downhill, right? But this one right here, this one's a really great Captain America and Black Widow adventure. And for a while there, you kind of also thought that maybe Cap and Black Widow would just get it on. They kissed though, but they didn't get it on. Okay, and then we've got Thor from 2013's The Dark World. The movie is on its 10th anniversary this year. This was the first standalone Thor movie that I worked distribution on. And I have to say that, this particular figure, well, he does come with a bunch of useful accessories, the hammer, alternate hands, and an alternate head. Somehow though, okay, they seem to miss the mark on both the face sculpts. Okay, this does not look like Chris Hemsworth. This sort of looked like Chris called in sick and they had to use a stand-in. Okay, I mean, maybe if you squint really hard, you might see a little bit of him in there, but I really don't think that this is a good facial likeness of Thor from the movie. The Dark World itself, I would have to say that, it was not actually something that was well remembered by fans. Okay, most people seem to diss on it, but it was a fun movie, all right? And it had a couple of key events that took place in it. If you watched it, you know what I mean. Also, it was fun to see Thor and Loki teaming up in that one. But yeah, this figure right here is not really a good representation of him from the movie. I think that there was a release, I actually have that one, a 2-pack a couple of years ago. Marvel Studios 10 years 2-pack release, which had Thor together with Lady Sif. I think the likeness of Thor in that one was better. Okay, it wasn't perfect, but it's definitely better than this one. This one, I feel that they just completely dropped the hammer. And then we've got the Iron Man Mark II suit from the original 2008 Iron Man movie. Now, this one comes with 2 heads. One is partially unmasked, the other one's fully helmeted. He's got a pair of hands, repulsor blast. Admittedly, this isn't one of my favorite Iron Man suit designs, but it is from the movie that launched everything that started off the MCU. And, this was from the time when, the whole franchise was still under Paramount and Disney hadn't taken over the thing. And a couple of years after this, okay, just before the Disney deal went through, we had a guy from Marvel come down to Malaysia. So the local office, we had to take him around, show him around the sites, show him the cinemas and stuff like that, show him the operation. And one of the things that he shared with the team I still remember this. Okay, he was talking about how when he was trying to approach partners, okay, before Iron Man hit big, okay, when he was out there looking for promotional partners and stuff like that, when he would mention the word Iron Man, people would just think that it was something like a marathon or something like that. That's right, okay? Because Iron Man was never a household name before the movie came out, before Robert Downey Jr. just owned the movie. So, ever since then, okay, he was just saying that people were just lining up, okay, to get through his door. Okay, but before that, he had to go out there and do the groundwork, right? So, yeah, this was one of those movies that really, set the whole trend going, okay, started off the whole blockbuster superhero genre as far as I'm concerned for the modern day. But yeah, this isn't one of my favorite suit costumes, but it's there. And then we've got the Bruce Banner figure. Okay, this is from, well, Avengers Infinity War. He just comes with a pair of hands. This is Bruce Banner, as played by Mark Ruffalo. Honestly, well, it could also be Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner in any one of those Avengers movies. But this one here says Infinity War. And, I mean, every line I think has a back warmer, and this could be it. Okay, it's a very good likeness of Mark Ruffalo, but I just don't think that the prices of these things being what they are, you put out a figure like this in civilian clothing, and he just comes with a pair of hands. I don't really think that a lot of people are going to be too happy about that. Maybe there's some things that you could do with this figure. Maybe you need a Mark Ruffalo figure in a display case, something like that. But maybe they should just bump up the quality on this. Okay, like maybe have him with something like 3 different facial expressions. Okay, obviously they didn't want to include a Hulk figure in this wave. Okay, because maybe that would just bump up the whole cost. But yeah, I mean, the Mark Ruffalo figure is interesting, but I kind of feel that, looking at the way that stuff has been packed warming out there, this is probably going to be one of those things too. Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, and next up, we've got War Machine from Civil War. Now, the War Machine character is definitely a fan favorite. This guy has been released before as the comic deluxe version that came with a ton of accessories. The movie version is looking pretty good too. He's got a whole bunch of armor attachments, including the Gatling cannon. I'm surprised that it doesn't come with the unmasked head. Now, thinking back, Civil War was definitely one of the all-time greatest Marvel movies, one of the all-time best Avengers films. In fact, it was practically Avengers 2.5. And I did get to watch this as well pretty early, about 4 months in advance. I remember January of 2016 at the Distribution Summit. And they had a rough copy of the film, which was practically completed, but minus most of the special effects. But that version, as I recall, had one of the key deleted scenes, which was the terrorist auction that was taking place in Jakarta, where Zemo infiltrates it in order to get one of the items that was being auctioned. And I was really surprised when the final movie, the final cut came out, later on at the end of April, and it seems that the scene was not included, because that scene pretty much established what a badass Zemo was, in Civil War. But, it's one of those key moments that was actually taken out. But later it resurfaced online, I think about 1 or 2 years later, as one of those deleted scenes. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. But War Machine in Civil War has been the source of some controversy of late, thanks to the Secret Invasion TV series, where there's been a lot of speculation online that he is in fact a Skrull in disguise, that he has been a Skrull, in fact, since the end of the events of Civil War. Well, to be honest with you, a lot of people didn't actually watch the Secret Invasion show. I think it's one of the biggest flop Marvel TV shows that came out recently. I personally have not sat through it. And I guess if you never watched it, then none of these revelations should bother you, okay? Right? Okay, what Marvel Legends movie wave would be complete without a solid, recognizable Iron Man figure? And this time we've got the Mark 46, also from Civil War. Civil War's getting a lot of love. And this figure is fantastic, okay? I like the design of this suit. It comes with the Replaster Blast, alternate hands, and a really bitchin' rendition of an unmasked Tony Stark head. This is, Robert Downey Jr. to a T. And I gotta say, honestly, if you don't have a good action figure representation of Robert Downey as Iron Man, this is the one to get. Now, we've had something like over 100 or so different Iron Man figures, whether it's Marvel Legends or otherwise, 100 or so different figures since 2008. But every time we get a solid looking, movie accurate likeness version of the character, like what we're seeing here, it just makes you want to just head out there and lock in that pre-order ASAP. Okay, the last one in this new wave of MCU Infinity Saga figures is Spider-Man from Civil War. Once again, they have knocked this figure out of the park with that rendition there of Tom Holland's face sculpt. This is a very simplistic And frankly, pretty superb movie Spider-Man action figure. He's just got an extra set of hands. Maybe he could have come with more. But I think when it comes to Spider-Man, you really just want to be able to pose him without really having anything else attached to him. And this figure seems to be able to capture all his classic iconic poses. Now, Spider-Man, of course, made his debut cinematically as Tom Holland in the Civil War movie in 2016. When we watched it for the first time, honestly speaking, nobody in that hall knew for sure that there was going to be an appearance by Spider-Man. Okay, I think there were rumors floating around, but when the character actually appeared for the first time, man, okay, the hall erupted in cheers. But of course, that early version that we saw of the film, it was all just crude animation, incomplete special effects. So I just had to wait months. Okay, in fact, all of us did. Okay, we had to wait like about 4.5 months before the final product was actually put up there on screen, and we could see at last the movie Spider-Man, the brand new movie Spider-Man in all its glory, okay, with all the completed CGI shots and effects. And man, it was glorious, okay. I think Civil War was one of those Captain America movies that, also because of work, I think I watched it like the most number of times. And, it's great to see this figure actually also being included in this particular wave. I think the whole set as a whole is solid, all right? Like I said, maybe just the Bruce Banner figure, maybe being a back warmer. But the entire wave as a whole has just got so much here to look forward to. Let me know in the comments section which ones are your favorites. Are you planning to pick up any of these at all? Hit me up right there, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content. Thank you, and take care out there.